I fought an alien made out of black goo once.
Oh, no way.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and it looks like Sony has went ahead and revealed not one, but two logos for Venom 3, both of which on their own, but also together, seemingly tell us who the villain of the film is. Now, we know Chiwetel Ejiofor is going to be playing Orwell Taylor, and that is not who we are talking about in this video when we mention the villain. The title cards seemingly reveal a symbiote villain, which of course makes sense. The symbiote Riot was the villain of the first film. The symbiote Carnage was the villain of the second film. So we probably couldn't get a Venom 3 without having at least one other symbiote in the film. And although Venom has kind of strayed away a little bit from what happens in the comics, like, you know, Eddie Brock getting the symbiote before Peter Parker, and I guess Carnage was kind of the offspring of Venom in Venom 2, but the point is they are not exactly doing it by the comic book. And it looks like Venom 3 is kind of going to follow that same fashion with the offsprings of symbiotes. And don't worry, of course we're going to be talking about the possibility of SpiderMan appearing in this film, but which SpiderMan could it be? I'm sure we all remember the post-credit scene of Venom Let There Be Carnage and the post-credit scene of Spider-Man No Way Home, taking Venom out of the Sony Spider-Man universe, putting him into the MCU, and then ripping him back out and putting him back into the Sony Spider-Man universe. Will Sony actually deliver on that? We'll break that down in this video. But what's really interesting about this logo reveal, or I should say logo reveals, is that Sony recently changed the logo. They revealed the first logo about 10 days ago at CES of 2024. As you can see here, this logo was very similar to the previous Venom logos. The Venom letters were silver with a reddish outline and a big red 3 in the background. And no, Carnage isn't returning. The red 3 is not for Carnage coming again, but like I mentioned, this does tell us a little bit about the symbiote villain. And so does the new logo. That's right, Sony actually changed their logo. This was shown 10 days ago at CES, and today they released a new logo. This was captured by Collider, and as you can see here, it looks very different. Very different than what they showed at CES, but also very different than the other two movies' logos. This one is all blue with a hint of red. And like I mentioned, both of them kind of tell us who the symbiote villain is going to be, and Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, actually gave us a pretty good setup for the next villain as well, and that would be Toxin. Now, if you're aware of Toxin's origin in the comics, then you already know his big Spider-Man connection. But first, let's back up just a bit. In the comics, Carnage comes from Venom, and then Toxin comes from Carnage. Carnage is the offspring of Venom, and Toxin is the offspring of Carnage. And here's the thing, Toxin is red and blue, and sometimes he kind of resembles Spider-Man a little bit. This explains the change in logo. At first, the Venom 3 logo was red, which checks out, Toxin is red, and now the new logo is blue, and Toxin is also blue. He's literally about half and half. But you can see why Sony wanted to change the Venom 3 logo from red to blue, because red really makes us think of Carnage. And we've already had Carnage, he's not coming back, but we do have Toxin now. Now, like I mentioned, they already set this up because in the comics, Patrick Mulligan is the host of Toxin. And we already met Patrick Mulligan in Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, and we seemingly saw him get the Toxin symbiote. In this scene right here, we can see Patrick Mulligan's eyes glow blue as he says, "Monsters."
Monsters.
So this is kind of different than what happens in the comics, but it's also very similar because in the comics, in the origin for Toxin, we see Venom and Carnage fighting. Carnage makes it very clear that he's about to become a father, and he's not very happy about it. And he tells Venom that when it's born, he's going to kill it. Also, if you are not aware, symbiotes reproduce asexually. They kind of just give birth. They don't have to mate with anybody to do it. They are aliens after all. But basically, Carnage goes underground to give birth to the new symbiote. Officer Patrick Mulligan is on scene. Carnage ends up putting the symbiote on him and flees, fearing that Venom would come and defeat Carnage because he was in a weakened state after giving birth to Toxin. Mulligan has no idea that he has the symbiote inside of him. He goes home to his wife who is pregnant, and Venom shows up because he tracked him down, asking if he's going to keep the child safe. Now, Mulligan thinks he's talking about his own child inside of his pregnant wife, but Venom is talking about the symbiote. Then Spider-Man shows up trying to stop Venom, who he thinks is trying to kill them. But they ultimately figure out that's not what's happening. But then Carnage Carnage shows up and he starts attacking everybody. Spider-Man actually ends up saving Mulligan's wife and takes her to the hospital to go into labor. Venom explained to Spider-Man that he wants to keep the symbiote alive and he needs the guidance of Venom or else the symbiote might go crazy like Carnage. However, as time goes by, ultimately Mulligan realizes that he has the symbiote on him, and realizing that the symbiote is becoming more powerful than Venom and Carnage, with Toxin easily defeating Carnage one-on-one, Venom and Carnage actually team up together to try and defeat Toxin. They show up to fight Toxin, and then Spider-Man shows up and fights alongside Toxin, so we literally get a Carnage and Venom team versus a Toxin and Spider-Man team, and again, Toxin kind of wipes the floor with them. But this could be an insanely cool setup for a live-action Spider-Man to appear in Venom 3. We'll talk about how epic this could be in just a sec. But first, big thank you to Avatar Braving the Elements for sponsoring this video. I know many of you love the breakdowns that we do, Easter egg videos, reactions, and reviews on this channel, which is why I think you will love Avatar Braving the Elements, the official companion podcast for Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, I personally love companion podcasts that go with whatever I'm watching at the time because I feel like you just get so much more information that you wouldn't get from anywhere else, which is why I am so excited for Avatar Braving the Elements. Each week, hosts Janet Varney, the voice of Korra, and Dante Bosco, the voice of Zuko, rewatch every episode of The Last Airbender. They're joined by special guests like the cast, super fans, and even the creators of the show, Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, for a deep dive and a behind-the-scenes look into the Avatarverse that you can't get anywhere else. So listen to Avatar Braving the Elements wherever you get your podcasts. Now, everybody wants Spider-Man to appear in Venom 3. However, like I stated before, the question is, which Spider-Man? Marvel Studios made it pretty clear with Venom 1 that they didn't want Tom Holland's Spider-Man to appear in the Venom film because they didn't want to confuse people. They didn't want people to think that the universes were the same. However, we are in the multiverse saga in the MCU, and the multiverse is about to open up in the Spider-Verse as well, with a lot of people believing that the two universes really are connected, and we could see Tom Hardy's Venom showing up in Avengers Secret Wars. But I think the most likely option for a Spider-Man appearing in Venom 3 is most likely Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, especially with that comment in Spider-Man No Way Home where he said that he wants to fight an alien.
I want to fight an alien.
And after Spider-Man No Way Home, reports came out that said Sony was not done with Andrew Garfield and that he did want to return to play Spider-Man again, especially after that very huge redemption arc that he had in Spider-Man No Way Home. So the question now is, if a Spider-Man does show up, what role exactly is he going to play? Is he going to fight against Venom, helping Toxin? This way we finally get our Venom versus Spider-Man moment, or are we going to have to wait to the MCU to get that? Because make no mistake, there is going to be a Venom in the MCU. Technically, there is the Venom symbiote in the MCU right now. When Venom went to the MCU and left, of course, as we saw, he left a part of the symbiote behind. This will eventually bond with Peter Parker. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Eddie Brock is going to be played by Tom Hardy in the MCU, but ultimately we will get a Venom vs. Spider-Man in the MCU. The only question is, do we get a Venom vs. Spider-Man in Venom 3? Tom Hardy said that that was his goal, that was his final goal, his end game, but did Sony actually allow it to happen in Venom 3? I'm hoping so, but let me know your thoughts about all of this news in the comments down below, about Toxin, about the new logos, and the possibility of Spider-Man showing up in Venom 3. Leave your comments down below. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and if you sub and leave a comment, you're automatically entered in our giveaway for a chance to win a PS5, an Xbox Series X, some Marvel Legends items, or some DC items. The winner gets to pick one item, and we pick one winner at the end of each month. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.